Hello, everyone. This is Emily Gunn, and I am presenting my case study called Parental Apathy. Category 1, problem identification and analysis. Before I get that, I'm going to kind of explain the case study a little bit. The case study is about Mrs. Rose, an assistant principal, and she is wanting to increase parental involvement in the schools, and she went to her principal to discuss this with him, and he feels like he has a very good pulse on the parents' thoughts and their need or want for involvement, and is really not in support of starting PTA or PTO group, and doesn't really feel that Mrs. Rose should pursue it. But after her relentless attempts, he agrees, let's schedule a meeting. And they have a meeting, and so I'm going to present that. So what I know is that Mrs. Rose wants the parents to be more involved. The principal doesn't feel that this is an important part of the education system, and he really feels that the parents don't want to be involved, that they're involved as much as they want to be, and that they really don't want to be any more involved than they are. Currently, the school has very little contact with the parents. The principal says he's not going to support the formation of a parent-teacher organization or a PTA group. And the parent meeting was scheduled on a Friday. Notes were sent home with parents saying, hey, we're going to have a meeting on Monday. And only 8 parents showed up and attended the actual meeting. What I need to know to make a more informed decision is what has been the parental involvement history? Where have they came from? What's the history? Why aren't they involved? Did they used to be? Things like that. So just knowing the background would be very helpful. Has there been a previous plan or attempt to increase the parental involvement? If so, why has it failed? And if there hasn't been, why hasn't there been a plan to increase the involvement? I think it's also important to know who the naysayers and the movers and shakers in the community and the school are. Definitely, I think this would be a great time to figure out who those movers and shakers are and to get them involved, to get more people involved. And can we change the minds of those who are the naysayers? I think those are the people that you want to draw in. So we need to identify those parties and see how we can get them involved in our movement. Also, we need to know if Mrs. Rose would actually be allowed to form the PTO and the PTA. I know the principal has said he wouldn't support it, but when push comes to shove, would he really not support it? And would the school board or the superintendent want a group like that moving forward? And I think it's also important to know what are the concerns and the motives of the parents that did show up. Obviously, there are at least 8 parents or families that want to be involved, maybe more so than they already are. What are their concerns or what are their ideas? Things like that. So we need to know what they want to know. Also then identifying the problem. So I have identified the problem as Mrs. Rose wants to get parents in the community more involved, but there is definitely resistance from her principal and a genuine lack of response from the community members and the parents. So we need to figure out a way to get those people involved in the school system. Category 2 is the proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies for implementation. So I'm going to outline what my proposed plan of action would be. Plan of action steps start with going ahead and having the meeting with the parents that are currently present. We need to talk to them about the importance of parent and community involvement and what the research shows about student success when those students feel that their parents and community support what they are doing. We need to ask for their ideas on how we can get other people involved or interested in becoming involved. Schedule another meeting, and also ask the current attendees to invite all of their friends and people that they know of so that we can get more involved. I feel like we also need to notify the other parents and community members about the meeting via mass emails, notes home, Phone calls, most schools have a way of mass sending out phone calls, emails, that sort of information to get to notify parents more so than just, hey, we're sending a note home with kids, or hey, kids, relay this to your parents. I feel like there needs to be a larger attempt at spreading the information. I think it would also be appropriate to involve a professional parental involvement guru. I know there's firms out there that specialize in how do you get parents involved in a school and about family engagement. I think that would also be an appropriate step for us to take. Um, I also think that the kind of to piggyback on those last two steps, we need to notify the parents sooner. I don't feel like notifying them on a Friday about a meeting on a Monday is enough time for parents to plan. Parents are busy and we need to notify them ahead of time. And to build upon the involving parental involvement people, the National PTA Association, they can send people out, and here's where you go from here. So I think it's important to involve outsiders in the steps. And then we need to conduct the second meeting that we have scheduled. And I feel like at that point, we need to formally address the needs and concerns of the parents and the community. There's a lot of family engagement surveys out there, so you can kind of get the pulse on, hey, how are we doing? And what can we do better? And what kinds of things do you really need from the school to help the parent be more involved in the child's education? And then from that point forward, you develop a plan for more actively involving the parents. So strategies that I used to implement that first portion of the plan, which is basically just getting people wanting to be involved, not even implementing the plan of how we're going to do it and the things that we're going to do. But I think we need to start with wanting people to get involved. So strategies include meeting with the constituents of the district and the stakeholders that are involved, bringing in outside professionals who really know how to get families engaged in the school system. We need to use those parents to help us. Parents can be very influential with their networks as well. So encourage parents to help spread the word to get other people involved. We're going to use technology to communicate. And again, communication. Communication is vital here through all routes, phone calls, technology, face-to-face communication. The more communication you have about things that are going on at school, family engagement is going to increase because parents are going to feel more informed and involved. And also by inviting parents to be involved is another strategy that I used. Category 3 is addressing how I resolved the issues based upon promoting the success of all students. So what is best for the students? So parental involvement ties the family to the school, which then increases student achievement. Students do better when they know that their families are involved and are aware of what's happening in the school. Also, increasing parent involvement builds stronger relationships across the board with all stakeholders. The students, the parents, the community members. Relationships bring people in. By increasing our communication, we're communicating more with families about what is happening at the school, thus ensuring success for all of our students. And finally, by getting the parents to be involved, the communities and the families take a real ownership in the school and the learning that is taking place. It's no longer, well, the school is doing this. It's more, we are doing this, meaning the school, the community, and the families. Category 4 is debrief the problem by reflecting upon what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing by identifying some unresolved issues. So I really felt like there was not enough notification time for the initial meeting. There was only 8 parents that attended because the children were told, hey, tell your parents we're having this meeting on Monday. So that's not a lot of time. Parents are busy. How many kids didn't tell their parents? So there was not enough notification, and the notification probably wasn't done in the appropriate manner. I felt like the principal was very happy with status quo. Like, why change things? Nobody's complaining. Things are going fine. So we're good. Leave it alone. And so I felt like he was really happy with status quo and the non-involvement of the stakeholders because as far as he was concerned, they weren't complaining, so everything was fine. Well, maybe they were complaining, he just wasn't aware. I really valued that Mrs. Rose wanted to make changes to improve the school environment. School environment can only get better by increasing family and parent engagement. And I really truly valued that there were some parents that showed up the first night. It did show that there were people concerned with how things were going at the school and that they wanted to be involved. Some unresolved issues were the past hurdles to parental involvement. I don't know what those are. And I feel like by not knowing that and resolving what those past issues were, you can't move forward. Was there a committee or something and things just did not go well? Was it poor leadership? What was the past issue? I feel like the past issue has to be resolved before we can move forward. The other resolved issues are the sustainment of the parental involvement, or like formulating the plan and implementing it. What are we going to do to get people involved? So again, you have to have those steps clearly outlined and defined and have the right people carrying those out or ensuring that those steps will be carried out. And I feel like another unresolved issue is the relationship between the principal and the assistant principal. Mrs. Rose needs to work to continue to build on that relationship and make sure that they're really working together towards a shared vision of student success. Category 5 was to reflect on Standard 4, which was how did I promote the academic success and personal well-being of every student while addressing the issues that were revealed, and how did I promote community involvement? Well, basically, by involving parents, that promotes academic success. It tells the children that their education is important to their family, which builds right into their personal well-being. Having their parents involved in the education that they are receiving truly is in their best interest and will help increase academic success. By increasing parental involvement, you have all the stakeholders take ownership in the learning that's happening at the school. It becomes the community's school, not just the school. And then all of this involves building relationships. Relationships are very vital in academic success, plus well-being, plus the community. The relationships that are built are really key to ensure that everyone is on the same page and knows what's going on. Things kind of going crazy there. So in closing, I feel like keeping the lines of communication open and building those relationships moving forward will really truly solve the parental apathy issue that Mrs. Rose is up against. Thank you for watching.